Okay, are we live?
Great, yeah, we're live.
Okay, so we're live. So hello everyone. If there's anyone there yet, Sanjay will soon tell me if there's any of you have arrived yet. So yeah, welcome from me. We're going to start in about 5 minutes. So I'm sitting in the LBC Shrine Room. Usually I'd be saying, come in, find yourself a space. But of course you're at home now. So yeah, just make yourself comfortable. Yeah, is anybody here yet, Sanjay?
Yeah, so there's about 40 people here already.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow.
Actually about 50 now.
There's about 50. Gosh, it's gone up so quick. Well, great to see you. The class is getting further.
People saying hello. So Gil Thomas is saying hi.
Oh, hi there.
Hello.
Hi there. Hello. Good.
Raina Pretz from Essen in West Germany.
Oh, great. It's lovely to have so many people joining in from so far afield. That's the sort of advantage of live streaming like this. So, yeah, great.
And Emma Wild and Louise Thomas saying hello.
Great. Hi, Emma and Louise. So Emma and Louise would usually be on the team of one of our classes tonight. So really, that's great. Yeah.
People saying it's really lovely to see the centre.
Yeah, it's lovely. Shame you can't smell the incense. I can smell the incense sitting here.
Caroline saying greetings from Milton Keynes.
Great.
And there's in Herefordshire, Philippa Singer from Ledbury.
Oh, great.
David Breen from upstairs.
From upstairs. He was here a minute ago. He got upstairs quickly. Great. Good.
Francesca, hello from Italy.
Oh, great. Oh, Francesca. We were on retreat together. Lovely, Francesca. Great, yeah. Good. So, well, maybe I'll say the same as I would say if you were actually coming here to the LBC, is just make sure you're sitting comfortably. I'm sure you are. And we will be meditating later on. So there's still a couple of minutes if you want to grab something to meditate on. Or, your chair or your sofa will do fine as well. But yeah, you can just start settling.
Yeah, lots of people saying hello to each other as well.
That's nice. I know it starts to create community, doesn't it? Yeah. So how many people are here now, Sanjay?
We've got 90 people here.
Wow, great. So that's getting to be round about the usual size of a Wednesday night here at the London Buddhist Centre.
Richard Hallows and Sam Dodd saying hello.
Great.
Will Vincent. James Benoit saying hello.
Oh, great. Hi. Another regular. Lots of regulars, lots of team members. So it's nice. We've got a sort of small team with Sanjay and Aoife lead and Seb, but I feel like we've got a sort of wider team of a lot of team members online now.
Adriana saying hello from Barnet.
Oh, great. Good. Hi, Adriana.
Anna saying hi from Cambridge. And, someone else saying hello from Canary Wharf. Harvey Montague saying hi as well.
Hi there, Harvey. Hi there, everyone. Good. Okay, so I think we've got half a minute left, I think, officially, before we start. How many people?
There's about 120 people now,
wow.
Just over 100.
Wow.
120 people. Oh, there's Claudio saying hi from Scarlett.
Oh, hi, Claudio.
Joining from Kent as well.
Oh, great. Good. Lovely to have people from all over Britain and further afield. Germany and Italy.
Shrewsbury.
Great. So, I think we should start now. Okay, so Good, so really, really warm welcome to you all. Welcome to the London Buddhist Centre virtually. My name's Subhadramati, and yeah, I'm one of the regular teachers here on a Wednesday night. First time I've done the class through live streaming, so it's quite exciting to be able to do it in that way. So I'm here with a little mini team, a little crew of Sanjay and Seb and Ipalit. So yeah, we're bringing you this class this evening. So there's lots of people involved now, over 100. And I'm doing my best to imagine you all out there in your houses, on your sofas, watching on your phone. And really, I just really wanted to encourage all of you to imagine each other, as it were. Like loads and loads of people, all at the same moment, although in different locations, about to have a class together and about to meditate together. And, well, I was thinking, at the moment, in this such unusual time, it's almost like there's a sort of double thing going on, that in a way we never felt more that we're in the same situation as everyone else, but at the same time it sort of is manifest differently for each of us. So some of us, some people are really rushed off their feet. Like I know here at the Buddhist Centre, our chair, Siri Gupta, and other people are really probably working double or triple as usual. I saw the postman the other day, and the man was he was running to deliver the post, running out, jumping into his van. He just said, half the team's off now. So, he was working at the double. And then, of course, not to mention all the medical staff who I can only imagine just must be working double, triple, quadruple. So some people rush off their feet, and then other people, some of us, have more time than ever, and maybe even wondering what to do with their time. Some people are in isolation. I was talking to my friend today who's very, very high risk, and she's been told to self-isolate for 3 months, and she said, oh, it's a long time to go without a hug. She said, I'm doing all right, but it's a long time to go without a hug. Others of us, might be sort of the opposite, sort of on top of each other, living together the whole day, no work to go to. So we're in the same situation. It manifests differently. But then I thought another thing for all of us here that makes us in the same situation is we've all got an intuition that meditating, working on our minds is one of the most important things we can do right now, if not the most important. So that's what we're going to do tonight. The structure of the class is I'm going to speak for a little bit. I'm just going to say a few things. And then we're going to meditate all together, sort of alone, but all together. That's very, very important that we're doing this together. And then there'll be a chance for questions. So you can just think of any questions you want to ask me. I'll try and respond just as someone who's been practicing meditation for, 30, 35 years now, who can maybe, help with some of the things that are on your mind. So I hope that sounds all right. I'll just start by introducing the theme, just saying a few things to introduce the theme of the meditation tonight. So one thing I've really been noticing in the last few days is the weather. So for those of us that live in London, I don't know about elsewhere, it's absolutely extraordinary because we've got this hugely challenging time. And at the same time, for those of us who live in London, we wake up every morning and the sky is just completely blue, seems from morning to night. It's absolutely beautiful. And every morning when I wake up and I look out of my window, a particular line of a poem's been coming to me. And the line is, the sun rises in spite of everything. The poem's by Derek Maham. And it's really come to mind this morning. I learned the whole poem off by heart. It's called Everything is Going to Be All Right by Derek Maham. I learned it off by heart. And when I was meditating later on, after my poetry reading, I sort of started to have this reflection of, oh yeah, poetry is even more resonant just now. I think a lot of us have probably found that. And I thought, it's something like things that are true, like the poetic truth of poetry is even more true right now. And then I thought, oh, that's the same with the teaching of the Buddha. It feels like it's even more true. I think that must be the test of whether something really is a sort of proper truth, a bona fide truth. If it, in times of challenge, it seems even more true. Its truth reveals itself even more. I suppose it's not literally that it becomes more true, it's just the truth that's always been there reveals itself more. So I thought, oh yes, that's even more true of the teaching of the Buddha. The truth is revealed even more. And yeah, the particular truth that I just want to focus on this evening of the teaching of the Buddha is the importance of working on our minds. That's just been striking me even more over the past couple of weeks. Just over, I can't remember, time's gone so weird, isn't it? But just when this was all beginning, whenever that was, feels like about, I don't know, months ago, but it was quite recently. I came back from retreat while we could still travel and so on. I'd been on retreat and I came back to my community, and the first person I met was Alexandra, one of my community members, and she was just taking it all in and she was quite stirred up. And she said, oh, Subhadramati, she said, everybody's so stirred up, and she said, the fear's worse than the virus. The fear's worse than the virus. And just at that moment, we started to talk, and I thought, well, if that's true, and I think it can be true, and there's certain truth in that, I suddenly realized, Buddhism, meditation, it can't help, they can't cure the virus, it can't claim to cure the virus, but it can help us work with the fear. So if the fear's even worse than the virus, well, that's amazing, because actually, the Buddhist teachings, the Dharma, meditation can help us work with the fear. So that really, really struck me. So another thing, I was talking about what we have in common at the moment. So one thing I was thinking that we've particularly got in common at the moment, I'm sure we all have, all of us, is that thing of trying to make sure we've got enough supplies. We managed to get our whole food order today, and it was like a festival, that we got our brown rice and our tahini, So everybody's trying to get enough supplies. And, the people I'm talking to and others, I very much hope that you have got enough supplies. We're all trying to do that. Make sure we've got enough food to eat, make sure we've got medicine, paracetamol, all those things. And I think now, of course, the supermarkets and so on are making that fairer by, just allowing each of us to buy a certain amount. But even as such a short time as a week ago, it was a bit more of a free-for-all, wasn't it? It was a bit more of a free-for-all. And I found myself in the situation, I'm sure I'm not alone, I absolutely knew the theory that panic buying and stockpiling was a bad idea, that it was a bad idea for everyone. That's definitely, bad idea for everyone. I completely knew that in theory. And then I found myself in the supermarket looking at the empty shelf and just wanting the stuff. And then the particular supermarket I was in, I looked at the very bottom of the shelf, and there underneath, hidden at the back, was some tins of tomatoes, I think it was, that had been overlooked. And I was like, oh yeah, great, grab them all, And so I ended up, and then I thought, oh, what am I doing? But I could feel this, that sort of split between, I know the theory, but yet when it comes to my community, there's 6 of us, I want to make sure we've got enough. Yeah, I want to make sure we've got enough. And I'm pleased to say although I had grabbed quite a few of them, I thought better of it and put a few back. But the instinct was very strong of oh good, I found what someone else has missed to sort of grab them. So yeah, for my community. And then I realized it's even sort of worse than that in a way, because there's my community, the 6 of us, but then there's me in the middle of it all. So again, I noticed when I went into Boots the chemist and managed to get my 2 packets of Lemsip that we were allowed, I thought, I think I'll keep one just for myself. One I can share with the other 5, but one I'll keep for myself. So I imagine I'm not alone in that. I imagine I'm not alone in that. That sort of knowing the theory, but yet you just wanna protect, yourself and the people you love. And what I thought was, this is what the Buddha talked about when he talked about self-cherishing. This is self-cherishing. It's nothing really to do with whether you like yourself or not or whatever. This is self-cherishing. The sort of, oh good, there's some tins of tomatoes somebody else missed. I'm going to grab them for my community. That's I'm going to, I'll share one, but I'm keeping one all to myself. That's self-cherishing. Now, the really, really important thing that Buddhism has to say about that is Buddhism does not say that that's bad. That Buddhism completely acknowledges that's natural. That self-cherishing is natural. It's not wrong or bad. In fact, Buddhism doesn't talk in terms of right and wrong and good and bad anyway. But what the Buddha did realize is that it's limiting. So it's not bad, it's not wrong, but it's limiting. It limits us, it limits our growth, it limits our potential, it limits our freedom actually if we stop at self-cherishing, if we stop at that. So that was why the Buddha really encouraged us to find ways beyond that, The Buddha, I think you can probably all see the image of the Buddha here, this larger-than-life golden figure, radiating figure. The Buddha really saw, not just intellectually, but really saw with his whole being that we're all related to everyone else. So an enlightened being really sees and knows in the very core of their being that there's no difference between their needs and their true interests and those of everyone else, So for an enlightened being, there's no difference between their true interests and the true interests of everyone else. That, in fact, is what enlightenment consists in, So for a Buddha, other people's true interests, other people's happiness is the same interest as the Buddha's, And the Buddha's interest is the same as other people's true interest and happiness. And I mean, that's very, very lofty, but I think we've all had a taste of that. So, every time, when we really, really love someone, and we just want to help them, don't we? If we really, really love someone and they want something, or especially if they needed help in this time, it wouldn't be difficult. We'd want to help them. If you could do something for them, you would. Their interest has become your interest. Your interest has become their interest. So we've all had a taste of that. A Buddha, an enlightened being, would feel that for everybody all the time. And in that enlightened being would feel complete freedom and joy, actually, and joy. They would feel with other people, it would be a joyful feeling. And that joy would be of a completely different order than the little moment of glee when I found those tins of tomatoes, or the little moment of glee when I sort of secreted my own little stash away in my room. That joy, because and why it'd be different is because it's an inner joy. It's not dependent on having anything or sort of pushing anything away. It's expansive. That connection that the Buddha, an enlightened being, would feel and manifest is expansive. Fear narrows us. When we're feeling afraid, it narrows. You can even feel that in your body, can't you? If we're anxious, if we're fearful, we tense up. It sort of squeezes us down. it makes a knot out of ourselves. Whereas empathy, love, expands us. It's a state of expansion. It's a state of sort of spiraling creativity, sort of upward and outward. I love the image of a spiral because it's going sort of up and out at the same time. If you imagine that, that's what love and empathy does. Fear and self-protection, which arises from fear, sort of squeezes us into a little knot. Empathy and love, their very nature is expansive. Their very nature is connecting, and their very nature is to move us, to make us. It's like we become bigger than the threat. We become bigger than the threat, rather than there's this threat and we're trying to sort of defend ourselves against it. If we can start to generate this upward and outward spiraling, then we become bigger than the threat. The Buddhist word, of course, for this empathy, this love, is metta. It's not the work of a day. It's not the work of a day to sort of move, let self-clinging expand more and more till it becomes just a wish for the well-being of all beings. But it is something that we can practice, actually, and that's what meditation is for. Is to train our minds and hearts in this way. So that's what we're going to do in a moment. We're going to meditate, and I'm going to guide us through it. We'll meditate for about 20 minutes. And we'll meditate. The meditation we're going to do is going to have 3 stages. If you already know a meditation practice called the Metta Bhavana, you'll recognize this as a sort of condensed form of this practice. But if you don't know that practice, it doesn't matter because I'm going to guide you through it. So there's going to be 3 stages, and I'm going to tell you what they are as we go along. So stage 1 is we're just going to tune into ourselves, and we're just going to tune into something that's moved us, or something that we feel gratitude for. So it might be a story we've read in the newspaper, some very moving stories of individuals and whole groups of people. Or it might be just an act of kindness that we've witnessed someone else performing. Or then we might just really feel gratitude for something simple or something more profound. So we'll tune into something that's moved us or something we feel gratitude for, and we'll just dwell with that. We'll do that for about 5 minutes. And then we'll bring a friend to mind, bring a good friend to mind, and we'll wish them well. So, your friend might be in a situation of suffering and hardship. You can wish them well. Or your friend actually might be in a very positive state. It's very interesting at this time, isn't it? Some people are really rising to the challenge of it, and their qualities are really coming out, and you think, wow, that's great, So, you might bring a friend who's manifesting that to mind and just wish them well, whether they're struggling and suffering, whether they're really manifesting new qualities. Wish them well. Just send your well-wishing mentally to them. And then in the 3rd stage, we'll expand that to all beings. So all of us here meditating together, and then all beings, And then that will be the end of the meditation. And then after that, we'll still have about 20 minutes left, and that'll be the time when you can write your questions, and Sanjay here will give them to me, and I'll do my best to respond to them. Good. So now we're going to meditate. So see if you can set yourself up as comfortably as you can. So if you're sitting on a sofa or a chair, maybe see if you can get both your feet on the ground, or maybe you could grab a kitchen chair, or you might have set yourself up with meditation cushions. So just setting yourself up. Good. And then when you're ready, closing your eyes. And I'm going to start with leading us in a body scan. Then I'm going to read us a poem and then lead into the meditation. Good. So closing your eyes. Starting off by really feeling the contact of your body with the floor and with the cushions or chair or sofa. Especially feel this contact with whatever you're sitting on. Really feel the sort of quality of that. Very often, even though we're sitting down, we're slightly braced, as if we're about to jump up at any moment. So if you notice that, just see if you can get a sense of more and more of your weight dropping down. You can imagine the whole base of your posture is like a big sack of rice or sand. All the little grains are just settling, finding their level. So the base of your posture becomes more and more stable. And from that stable base, the rest of your torso is rising up. Your spine rising up in its own natural curves. Your head just poised. See if you can soften your face a little bit more. See if you can soften your hands a little bit more. And just tuning into your heart center. So not so much your physical heart, but just that area in the center of your chest. It's the emotional center. Just notice any sensations there. Even if you don't feel much, that's fine. Just notice the sensation of not feeling much. Keep softening the face. this. There's no law against my listening to this thrush behind the barn. The song so loud it echoes like a bell. Then it's further off beyond the lawn. Whatever else there is, there's this as well. There's no law against this singing, nesting, I suppose, up in the silver birch, even though we build a common hell, have done, and will make it worse. Whatever else there is, there's this as well. Metta meditation, loving kindness. In the first stage, just bringing into mind and heart something that's moved us, or something we feel grateful for, and dwelling with that. Moving on to the second stage, we bring to mind a good friend. And we wish them well. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they progress. Your mind goes away, just coming back to your physical sensations, to the sense of your friend or the image of your friend. And just keep wishing them well. on to the third stage, where we expand this well-wishing to more and more beings, perhaps to all 100+ of us meditating together right now. And then more and more beings, as far as our imaginations can take us, wishing them well. And now for the last few moments, still sitting still with our eyes closed, just relaxing any effort we're making. And just sitting for a moment, not trying to do anything. Not trying not to do anything, just sitting. There's no law against my listening to this thrush behind the barn, the song so loud it echoes like a bell. Then it's further off beyond the lawn. Whatever else there is, there's this as well. There's no law against this singing, nesting, I suppose, up in the silver birch. Even though we build a common hell, have done, and will make it worse. Whatever else there is, there's this as well. Good. So well done, everyone. Very lovely to meditate with all of you. And yeah, I hope that you too felt that we were meditating as a community together. I did. Yeah, so we've got about 20 minutes of the class left, and this is the time if any of you have got any questions, yeah, anything you want me to try and respond to, then you can write them down, and Sanjay here will have a look and let me know if anyone's got any questions. So.
Yeah, just to say there's more than 200 people.
Wow, that's amazing. So we really are a community together, yeah, working on our minds, yeah, really, well, creating this power of loving kindness. I've really been very struck by reflecting recently that empathy is a power. It's not a passive thing, it's an actual power. And amazing to think that 200 of us have been generating that power together. Great.
Much Wendy says thank you for reading my poem.
Oh, thank you for writing it, my true friend. Yeah.
And Will Vincent asks, I'm really struggling to structure my day and assign meaning and purpose to the actions that I'm doing, having no one to answer to but myself. Do you have any reflections on how to work through this?
Okay, so that is one of our challenges just now for one of the people that finds ourselves suddenly without any structure. So, well, what I'd suggest is maybe just start with a few doable things that can build in that structure. I mean, I'd say the morning is particularly important, and just see if you can get up at a regular time and meditate at a regular time. Even if you're on your own, if you're isolating, you know, remember that there are other people meditating too, and maybe you could even buddy up with someone by text or phone, or even a few people, and say, well, hey, let's meditate together. And I think that structure itself will start to create more meaning and value. So yeah, that would be my sort of, I know it's easy for me to sit here saying that's harder to do, but do one or two doable things and then build from there. That's what we always say when we're, you know, when we're teaching at the centre, giving home practice or so on. Do one or two doable things. Yeah, but yeah.
Just to say, maybe if you could repeat questions when I ask.
Oh yes, that's a good idea. Yeah.
So Bella asks, when we wish may you progress, does that have a specific meaning?
Okay, so that's this may you make progress or may you progress. So Bella's asking, does that have a specific meaning? Yes, it does. That's a very good question. It means, well, I suppose what it's doing is it's acknowledging and putting ourselves behind that innate wish that everyone has to grow. All life has that wish to grow, actually, not just humans. All life has that. So it's recognizing that all life has that wish to grow, to flourish. And we're saying, well, you know, may that happen for you. So when we wish it, we are aligning ourselves with that and wishing it for other people. Yeah, so it's a very important part of the practice, that wish for that people will grow, that they'll flourish, that they'll be fulfilled. Yeah.
Harvey asks, what should I do when feeling resentful / ill will towards people I'm living with?
Yes. So thanks, Harvey. So that's a that's going to be an issue for all of us, isn't it? We're thrown together, some of us, maybe spend the whole day together. So, well, one thing you can realize you're probably not the only one feeling that. So let's see. So what can you do? Well, one I think is it's almost like it's try not to feel bad about yourself for feeling that. What we can tend to do is we sort of ricochet. Something happens, somebody eats too much peanut butter, or I don't know, doesn't wash their hands as much as we think, or all those annoying things that we think, and we ricochet between, oh, how could they do so? How could they do that? We blame them, and then we kind of go, oh no, I should be more tolerant, I should be more patient. So we ricochet between blaming them and blaming ourselves. So what we've got to do is acknowledge it to ourselves and think, okay, I am feeling that ill will. Try and resist, try at all costs to resist just sort of venting that, especially, with regard to the person. You might take a third neutral person and, confide in them. And just keep practicing this metta bhavana. I think keep practicing that and just keep forgiving. I think especially when we're thrown together like this, we're going to have to keep forgiving each other and keep asking for forgiveness from each other, because we'll also be that person that somebody else is annoyed by, especially when we're all packed in together. So keep practicing metta, keep forgiving, keep asking for forgiveness in a way, and also forgive ourselves for not being as patient as we ideally would like to be, and so on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a few people asking about kind of anxiety and fear. So I'd like to get some advice on turning horrified anxiety or pity into compassion. And then somebody else asking about overwhelming sense of sadness, emotion triggered by fear. Is there something I can say or think to help in the coming days? Somebody else asking about loneliness and feeling isolated as well.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of quite similar kind of feelings
Okay.
from these three people.
Okay, so we've had a cluster of questions about fear and anxiety, and also about loneliness. Actually, I might treat them differently: anxiety, fear, and loneliness. Again, we're going to have anxiety. This situation is a recipe for that. So I think what I was saying about this practice of extending loving kindness is a direct antidote to fear. So what I'd say, now this is going to be counterintuitive, but try it, and I feel like I almost want to say I can promise it will work. Well, certainly in my experience it's worked. So the counterintuitive thing is do something generous every day. Whether that's in action or even in thought, even wishing someone well, that will counteract fear. And that's to do with that thing I was saying before about fear by its nature sort of squeezes us in, narrows us, makes us want to defend ourselves even more. Generosity, rejoicing in people, wishing them well, encouraging them, that's a movement outward. So that's the opposite movement. So it would be a great thing to just practice, just practice doing something generous every day, and also practice reflecting on gratitude. Every night before you go to sleep, you could just make a list of 5 things you're grateful for, and you'll be surprised. You might surprise yourself that even in this difficult situation, there are things to be grateful for. You might have seen something beautiful, either in nature or just seen a kind act that someone else did. So you can be grateful for things. So I would say practice generosity and reflect on gratitude. They'll work against fear because they'll move us outward. Fear sucks us in, yeah. And yes, then loneliness, that's hard. So, you want to sort of, extend my sort of empathy for loneliness. So I think this meditation on loving kindness can work against loneliness, because we can bring our friends to mind in our mind. So some of us, like my friend who, has to go 3 months without a hug, that it is hard when we can't be in physical contact with people we love. Maybe they're very far away, and actually even if they're not that far away, we still can't see our family, our friends. But this is the time when we can really bring to mind the emotional connection with those people. So our connection with people is much more than just physical. It's emotional as well. And in fact, the emotional connection is stronger than the physical connection. So if every single day we send our well-wishing towards those people that we're missing, those people that we wish we could see, the connection in our heart with those people will actually grow through this time. And actually, it's more reliable, that heart connection. Nobody can take that away from us. Nothing can take it away from us. The virus can't take that away from us. That connection in our heart cannot be taken away, and it's something that we really can strengthen by bringing our friends to mind. And remember, they'll be bringing us to mind if we feel lonely. And remember that elsewhere in the world, people we don't even know are practicing the metta bhavana, and they're thinking of us. They might not even have met us, but they will be thinking of us. And the people that have been maybe practicing meditation for, 50, 60, 70 years will be powerfully meditating and wishing us well. So we could even bring that to mind. Somewhere, someone is wishing you well. Probably at all times of the day and night, yeah. Yeah.
A couple of questions here about energy and focus and inspiration. So Kathy's asking, any advice on how to retain more consistent energy and focus? And James Benoit is asking, do you have any tips on how to get a boost to our inspiration levels when many of us rely on going on retreat or coming to the centre to get that?
Okay, so that's a question about how do we keep inspired and how we keep focused especially when things that many people, say people that are used to coming to the Buddhist centre, come, although we can't do that physically. So, well, one thing I would say, it's brilliant that we've got resources like Dharma talks we can listen to. Free Buddhist audio is fantastic, and I've heard that they're making a digest of the very best talks we can listen to. So we can listen to, if every day we listen to a Dharma talk, it's not just, I think listening to a Dharma talk, it isn't just the words, it lifts us onto another level. I think also, if we've got access to them, is reading biographies of people who inspire us, whether Buddhist or not, actually. So we might read a Buddhist biography of a figure who inspires us. But actually, it's really been, I don't know about you, but it's been coming to mind just memoirs I've read in the past that I want to reread. I was thinking particularly, you might know, An Evil Cradling by Brian Keenan, the Irishman who was kept in confinement. And actually, just by the power of his mind or heart, found freedom in confinement. And I've tracked down that book, and I'm going to reread that one. And I want to read I've never got round to reading Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. So people, I'm very drawn at the moment to people who've been in very difficult situations, often confined situations, and found freedom in their mind, have used their minds to free them. The most amazing thing about Brian Keenan was he realized at the end that he was more free than the very captors who were holding him a prisoner and torturing him. Actually, he was freer than them. So for me, that's a source of inspiration, listening to Dharma talks, but also reading the memoirs of inspiring Buddhist figures, but any inspiring figure. Well, there's a couple of tips. I'm sure it's not exhaustive, but yeah.
M asks, I'm having trouble practicing self-care, self-metta, while so many people are suffering in the most extreme ways. It feels too selfish, regardless of how much I am helping others.
So that's interesting. That's a question about feeling selfish or feeling bad in some way, that other people are suffering more. So that's an interesting one, isn't it? We can almost somehow feel guilty sometimes that other people are suffering more. I think the thing I reflect on in that situation is keeping myself well on all levels, physically, emotionally and spiritually, actually is the best help that I can give. It means that when I'm called upon by whoever or whatever situation, that I'm in the most fit state to respond. So I think we have to just try and deepen our faith in that by keeping ourselves well actually is contributing to the well-being of others. It really is. It really is. So maybe just really try and we can all just really try and reflect on that. That then we want to keep ourselves in a sort of fit state to be sort of part of the solution, not just more of the problem in a way. It won't help anyone if we're not looking after ourselves, especially dharmically, especially spiritually. So if we keep ourselves well, we'll be able to help. So it's definitely not selfish. It actually is the best help that we can give. Actually, yeah.
Martha Reed asks, hi, from your experience of long solitary retreats, can you tell us about the benefits of solitude from a Buddhist point of view?
Okay, so that's a question of somebody's asking about my experience of long solitary retreats. What are the benefits from the Buddhist point of view? So I must say, I was just reflecting today, I'm grateful to have done solitary retreats very regularly for, the past 30 years or so, for anything from 1 week on my own to 2 months on my own. And I think what those solitary retreats have done is I hope this doesn't sound like a cliche, but they've helped to strengthen my inner life and my own resources. So that means that I'm, just can enjoy being on my own. And I think even if you haven't done a solitary retreat and maybe you are in self-isolation just now, so you're feeling a bit like you're on solitary retreat, you can view it as a situation which, although challenging, is also a growth point, because if you manage to keep yourself inspired to whatever extent, and if you manage to keep yourself positive to whatever extent, those effects are lasting. That means you'll really be sort of converting your own mind and heart to be a stronger, a more resilient mind and heart, and that will stand you in good stead. You'll become a new kind of being, you'll be strengthened by that. Yeah. I think we might be at time now. So we're going to sign off in a moment. So just really want to, just once again before we go, really wish you all well. And one more thing to say before I go is just a bit about the culture that we've always been trying to create here at the Buddhist Centre, and that's a culture of generosity, a community of generosity. So here at the Buddhist Centre, we make as much as possible free. We do as much as possible, through volunteers, or the teams are all volunteers. Even those of us who work here don't work for a wage or anything like that. We work on a basis of give what you can and just have what you need to live a simple life. And to me, that feels like quite a radical culture. It's so different from the culture of exchange that we're used to in most of our lives. So if you'd like to join in with that culture, one of the best ways that you can do that at the moment is by giving us a donation. If you could give us something regularly, monthly, that's the best of all, especially at the moment. But anything you can give would be really, really great. And thanks to so many of you who've already given. A number of you have set up the new monthly donations and given us donations. So thank you very much to you. And if you'd like to join in with this culture of generosity, this community of generosity, the button to give is in the link. Yeah. So thank you very much. And the next event like this is on Friday lunchtime, 1 o'clock, with Surya Gupta, the chair of the centre, Ask a Buddhist. So really wish you all well in the next few days.